been doing this since 1983. Can you
That's right.
tell us a little bit more about your
Yes,
organization
of
and
course.
just briefly outline what you guys do and how you can help the young artists in general?
Well, I've been in management for a long time, and over those years I've realized that young artists have a most difficult time to get started in their careers. Once they've had their formal training, there's nothing there for them to know what to do. And unlike other vocations, a performer has to wait about 2 years before they would get their first job. And the reason for that, of course, is because the orchestras and opera companies book so far ahead. And so what do you do for 2 years waiting for your first job? So we try to keep people focused on what they're doing, trying to help them develop even further in their artistic product, and to advise them also of the business aspects of having a career, because that they don't get in school. There's just not enough time for it. And one of the things that really astounds anyone on the street, if speaking about this, is that who has to pay $95 for a job interview? And everyone says, you pay for a job interview? And yes, you do. You have to hire a pianist, you have to hire a space, and you have an audition, which is a job interview, with no guarantee that you're going to get the job. And when I came back to Canada, because I had been away for 20 years, I realized there wasn't the same help available for Canadian artists that there are in other countries. So some of my clients from years ago have also retired and moved to Toronto. So together, some of us have joined together, then invited people like Jeannie Kim, who is an artist, who knows very well what is needed in terms of building a career, to join our board so that we have also young ideas coming into our old-fashioned ones. And we have lots of discussions because the older ones are based in tradition, whereas our younger ones are more modern and
so maybe you can maybe help me get through the actual procedure. Say if the young person comes to your organization, what would that person be expecting for you guys to do for him or her?
First of all, it depends on what their instrument is. If they are a dancer or a singer, the instrument is in their body and they have shorter career spans. So for this reason, we're sort of putting a little more attention to dancers and singers, although we also do things for instrumentalists as well, and for chamber groups. And we mentor them. We try to advise them. They come to us with questions. And from our various experience, one of our divas on the board, for instance, is very good at wardrobe. So a lot of the performers come to ask her how to dress on stage. So, but basically, that's not enough. What we're doing is bringing people here that can help our artists know what to do in an audition when they get there, because they aren't really fully trained enough to do that. And you only get 3 minutes in an audition. So if you haven't been able to deliver in those 3 minutes, you may have to wait another 2 years before they'll hear you again, right? So it's a very precarious kind of career to have, and you need money, just as you do as you would if you opened a store or invested in a business. It takes a little while for the business to actually start making a profit. So we sort of got together, decided to bring people here. Instead of giving money to some one person to go abroad and to work with this coach or that coach or take a program somewhere, we decided to bring the people here. We call them employers because they know what the employers want. And so we bring them here, and by bringing one person here, the fee we have to pay, of course, the travel, the hotel, etc., but we can have up to 20 people, 30 people, instead of just one person going abroad. So we feel that that is easier also because of the expense for the artist, but also it's a better environment. If you're traveling, trying to deal with a foreign language, trying to figure out money and whatever, you can't really concentrate on your audition.
So you're bringing all these experts here?
We bring here, and some of our people have been hired right out of the sessions.
What?
So it's really been very good. So now we need space for our office, of course, but what we're trying to do is have enough space, high enough, that we would be able to offer audition space, at least free, to artists. And we also have had a lot of musical scores dedicated to us from retired artists. And in those scores are the markings of what we call the tradition that's handed from one generation to another. And so we have these scores that we would like to make into a reference library so that people can come and see how it has been done in the past. With opera scores, you can buy them in the store, but the tradition, it has to be handed down.
You have an office in Toronto already, but I guess your space is
Well,
limited.
I have an office for my management, which I'm gearing down now, but it's not enough space for the resource center. And the library is all packed up in my house.
Oh.
We have a few things from
Okay.
artists that have given us. We have a cape from one of the productions that Louis Quilico appeared in. And we have some other souvenirs that have been part of props in the productions that they have been given. And what we want to do now is once we get space and we're curating our library, we can offer auditions for people without paying except for their pianist. Then we can then open a souvenir gift shop, all of it memorabilia of our Canadian artists of the past and present. And from that shop, we should be able to generate our own funds. So we don't have to ask anybody anymore once we get started. So we're looking for funds as seed money. And after 3 years, we've been told we could sustain ourselves, and that's what our goal is right now.
I understand you get some funding from the Ontario government and maybe...
Not really. We've
No?
had project grants in the very beginning, but we haven't had any now for some time. We've applied, but it's a strange situation. The people on the funding panels are experts in their field, usually banking or something like that, and they say that we're too ambitious. But those of us that have been in the field all this time, we know what needs to be done.
That's right.
So whether it looks ambitious to a banker or not, I don't know, but that's our last response that we had from a big application we made. So we're going ahead to see if we can not do this on our own and rely on donors and foundations. We were given a large foundation grant a few years ago, and Joan Dorneman from the Met and I went coast to coast. We found many, many good singers.
Right.
One of the things I would like to find out is why we have I think 18 singers altogether coming in now for Opera Week to work with these two coaches, none of which are Korean. And I would like to know why. Because is that a bad
they're all
thing to
playing
say?
violins and pianos.
I
That's why,
realize
yeah.
that, but there must be singers there somewhere.
Yes.
There has to be. Look at Sumi Joe.
Yeah, I
Right?
know, yeah.
So there has to be some singers somewhere, and we wonder why they're not coming out.
Well, singers and
No, but
dancers and
we've all
some
had-
musicians.
right.
And if that person goes to your organization for help, and then you are kind of a...
We see what help he needs or she needs,
He needs,
because sometimes they don't know what
you
they
might
need.
arrange some of the person in his or her own field to maybe
Right. Well,
do
that's
the
why
mentorship.
we
or
bring
something.
in people from the Met and from Scala, because they know what's needed and what people want to hire. So people can be studying in their studio every week with their teacher, but they don't know where they fit in the marketplace.
왜냐하면 그 앤썸머 이분이 하시는 일이 바로 그런 일이거든요. 왜냐하면 컨서버토리도 그렇고 유어부티도 그렇고 이제 많이 그 트레이닝을 해갖고 전문적으로 뭐 피아노도 이제 학사, 석사 받고 무슨 디그리를 받고 성악도 아티스트 디플로마 받고 하지만 그 다음에 졸업하고 나서 할 게 없는 거예요. 그 할 게 없고 특히 또 지역적으로 토론토도 그렇고 그다음에 시대적으로 지금 시대도 그렇고 이 클래시컬 필드가 굉장히 어려운 때잖아요. 그런데 이 앤썸머 같은 분이 그런 사람들을 도와줘서 직업을 찾게 해주고 사회랑 이렇게 그 뭐라 그러죠? 같이 네, 커넥션을 해주는데 이분이 이제 여기 인터뷰에 응하신 이유 중에 하나도 그 그 한국 사람들이 많이 이렇게 나오질 않는다는 걸 다 어디 갔냐 이거죠. 그래서 도와주고 싶다 지금 이런 취지거든요. 예.
Can you guarantee them jobs?
Guarantee who jobs? The
Young
artists?
artists, yeah.
I can guarantee that they'll have a chance, but I can't hire them.
That's right.
So I can guarantee they'll have a chance at a
Nobody
job.
can guarantee.
What everybody